Hey everybody, it's Justin and welcome back to our BTR Garage. Today we have another installation video for my Ford F-250. This is the 7.3 Powerstroke diesel engine. We're going to be upgrading the transmission oil cooler today to a larger and more efficient unit. One of the downsides to these trucks, or I should say the weak points of these trucks, is the transmission. If they get too hot, they can break seals and create leaks and other catastrophic type of failures. So keeping the transmission cool is of critical importance. Now the 7.3 Powerstroke had a really tiny transmission oil cooler on it. A common upgrade is to upgrade to the 6-liter Powerstroke diesel engine, which is the generation of diesel engines that came after the 7.3 Powerstroke. It has a larger transmission oil cooler, and that's what we're going to install today. So we're going to go ahead and open up the product that I got and then get the installation done, and then eventually we're going to show you some before and after results of the temperatures of my transmission. I do have a transmission temperature sensor in the truck, and while I just have analog gauges, I'll be able to get a good estimation on how much cooler the transmission fluid runs with the new upgraded transmission cooler. So that will come in a different video. Today we're just going to show you what we've got and go through the installation process, let you know how simple or difficult it is. Basically, I'm going to follow the instructions on the vendor's website. So let's quit the talking, let's get the box opened up and get started. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. This is a Mishimoto transmission oil cooler. This is a drop-in replacement for the OEM transmission oil cooler that comes on your 7.3 Powerstroke diesel engine. This one is larger and basically the same type of unit that is found on the 6.0 Powerstroke diesel engines, the ones that came after the 7.3. So let's go ahead and open it up and see how it looks. All right, so let's check out what we have in the box. Obviously, we have the transmission oil cooler. This thing is actually pretty huge. I was not expecting it to be this large. The installation videos that I had looked at, it looked a lot smaller, but very nicely made and well done. Looks like it's even painted or sprayed in a light gray color as well. Everything looks good and solid on it. Got mounting brackets on the bottom and on the sides, and then your hose connections on either end here. It also came with a bag of new hoses and some mounting hardware. We have the mounting hardware here and the new hoses and clamps here. So we're gonna go ahead and start taking the truck apart, kind of give you a high-level overview of what to do and how to accomplish the installation of this, but I would recommend looking at Mishimoto's website. They have fully detailed instructions on how to install these guys. So we're gonna get started with removing the OEM transmission oil cooler from the truck. Again, reference that video from Mishimoto. It has totally detailed steps, better than what I would be able to do for you guys. So what I'm gonna do is throw this on a time lapse, go through the general steps. What we have to do is get things taken apart enough to where we can take the transmission oil cooler out from underneath the truck. You actually work from the underside here, not from the top. So there's some bolts we got to take out. We got to remove the power steering cooler, some other pieces as well, and then we'll be able to slide the transmission cooler down and then put the new one back up inside. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and talk to you in a second. Now, one thing I am going to show you that the Mishimoto instructions don't show you, and I'll try to pop in and show you tips and tricks outside of their instructions that help a little bit when getting this done. But they tell you to get the first mounting bolts for the cooler off by going in between the bumper. And actually, if you take off this little shroud on the top of the truck, it's right in this area. Really easy, it just has some clips in it. You can actually access those bolts a lot easier on each side of the truck. There's one on the right side, one on the left side. We'll take a look at what it looks like down in here. So that is where our new cooler is going to go, is in this gap right in here. And the little existing OEM cooler is way down there on the bottom. You can kind of see it, the silver piece, or silver unit. down there. And then one of the bolts we need to remove is down in that area on the bracket, and then there's one on the other side as well. Alright, so we'll get back to the time lapse and start taking this thing apart. Alright, so we have those lower mounting bolts off of the transmission cooler. I was able to get in through the top like I mentioned before to loosen them up, but to get them out, I still had to go through the crack in the bumper here and the grill, as the Mishimoto instructions say. Now we'll take a look at the underside of the truck. I did get that shroud out on the underneath. I did have to use various clip removal tools to get all of the clips out, but let's take a look at the underside here and see what's going on. Alright, so here's our look on the underside of the truck. That shroud that I just took out basically covers up this area like that. And here is our OEM oil cooler sitting in there. And then I think we need to remove this right here, which I believe is our power steering fluid cooler. Alright, so we've gotten to the point where we can detach the hoses from the transmission oil cooler so we can get that stock one out of place. I wanted to show you guys where the hoses connect to underneath the car here, because in the Mishimoto instructions it took me a while to figure out which hoses were connected to what. I'll show you where they are, and hopefully that will give you a better visual of where those hoses sit. So let's take another look underneath. Alright, so the oil cooler lines, we're looking underneath the truck. The front of the truck is in that direction. So looking up underneath where the oil cooler hoses come out of, the transmission oil cooler hoses, one of them is up here. You see this guy I'm moving, and it goes across and ends up, if I can get the camera on it, over in this area. Gosh, this is so dang hard to get a good angle. But the one with the clip on it up in there, that is the transmission oil hose that goes back to the transmission. And then our other one, which confused me for a little bit, actually goes right here to this clip, and then that hard line that goes down along underneath the radiator. So what we need to do is get the clip off of there, pull the hose off, and I have some little rubber plugs I'm going to use to plug the lines while we get the transmission cooler itself replaced. So we've got that one, and then the one just kind of up above it. Try to get another angle here, but it's not working. It's kind of right up there in the light, but it's pretty simple to find. It's next to the two silver hard lines. Only one of them has a clip on it that you can remove and pull the line off of. Alright, we got the hoses disconnected, and we should be able to get the original oil cooler pulled out now. Now the hard part is just fishing the old hoses through here. And there was a step earlier on to loosen up the AC condenser, the little AC radiator up in the front of the truck as well, and this is why. So you have a little freedom to move it around. You can't see it, but pushing the condenser forward in the truck so I can get the oil cooler out. Alright, so now that we have the OEM transmission oil cooler out, we can kind of compare them side by side with the Mishimoto transmission oil cooler. Obviously, the OEM cooler is much smaller than the Mishimoto oil cooler. It's about maybe a third of the size, maybe a little less than a third of the size. Similar design and all, but obviously a lot more potential cooling capacity with the Mishimoto cooler. So now we're going to start putting things back together, mount the Mishimoto cooler in place, get the new hoses attached. Again, the kit does come with its own set of hoses. So we're going to get this thing started and hopefully finish up here pretty soon. All right, with everything back in place inside the truck, finally, we're gonna go ahead and get our hoses prepped. We took these plastic little shrouds or covers off of the OEM hoses. We're gonna put it over each of the new hoses that came with the kit. All right, so we have those guys on there, the hoses ready. We have a new set of clamps that come with the kit as well. We're gonna go ahead and attach the passenger side hose first. The outlets on the transmission oil cooler, there's one outlet on the right side, one outlet on the left side of the cooler, whereas the OEM had them both on the same side. That's why we have new hoses of longer lengths to accommodate the driver's side one that has to go further across the truck. So we're gonna get back under there and hook up these hoses. Okay, our hoses and clamps are all attached. And a quick view from the top where you can see the new transmission oil cooler sitting down in there. And now we really only have a couple steps left. Now that everything is attached, the oil cooler is installed, we have to add some additional transmission fluid to the truck, since the capacity on the Mishimoto oil cooler is obviously a lot more than the stock or the OEM oil cooler that I have sitting on the ground over here. So we're gonna go ahead and add transmission fluid. I think they call for an additional quart or so of fluid. I have the normal Mercon V, the OEM fluid that you would put in your transmission. So we're gonna top that off and then start up the truck, make sure we don't have any leaks, and then we can button up the rest of it. All right, there we go. Truck started up okay. Doesn't look like we have any leaks. Obviously, I'll keep an eye on it in the future when we actually start driving the truck a little bit harder to make sure we have no leaks coming out of the new transmission oil cooler. Now, the install process went pretty smooth for the most part. It took me quite a few hours actually to get it done. The Mishimoto video says about 2 hours in a 3 out of 5 difficulty level. I would agree with the 3 out of 5 difficulty level, but it took me a lot longer than 2 hours to do. Of course, I'm doing videotaping while I'm doing it as well, but I had a number of stumbling blocks, the little clips that hold all of the pieces on the car with the power steering cooler and the transmission oil cooler. There's little clips that go in behind the mounting brackets where the bolts go into, and a lot of those things gave me problems. I couldn't get the bolts to thread in there. I had to pull out the clips, flatten them out a little bit, and you'll understand if you get these things taken apart. But it was a little bit tricky and took a little bit of extra time. All right, so I think that's gonna wrap up this installation video of the Mishimoto transmission oil cooler. I'm really looking forward to getting the truck back on the road with my trailer and my race car and doing a tow trip where I can see how the temperatures end up with the new Mishimoto oil cooler compared to the old OEM oil cooler. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm gonna do an additional video here in the near future where I compare the original temperatures with the OEM oil cooler versus the temperatures with the Mishimoto oil cooler to hopefully see some kind of data proof that shows that this one is actually better and providing cooler temperatures for the transmission. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful. If you have any thoughts, comments, or questions, please leave them down below like usual. And stick around for that comparison video coming up real soon among some others. Stay fast out there, everybody. I am checking out, and we'll talk to you all next time.